Hey everyone, Matt here on another edition of Ask Ron. Ron, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Just got back from Dallas teaching the Quick Start Real Estate School to an exciting group there.
Nice, nice. Sounds like a lot of fun. All right, we have 6 questions for today, and the first one is from Kevin. Kevin says, are there any restrictions on contacting pre-foreclosures in the state of Florida?
Not that I'm aware of, because we're doing it, and I know many others that are. So if you find any, Kevin, make sure you let me know, please. There aren't any. Okay.
All right, perfect.
By the way, though, Kevin, if they're in foreclosure, you do need to get the right contract, and it's got 12-point type in it, and there's a 3-day rescission after you put them under contract if they've been filed on, okay, in Florida. So you got to get with your lawyer or title company or somebody to get that contract.
It's good to know. There you go, Kevin. All right, the next question we have is from Devon in Illinois. Devon says, do retirement villages have restrictions on allowing tenant buyers?
Is there a question there?
Yeah, he's asking if there's any restrictions.
Well, many places with associations have restrictions on putting tenants in the unit because they don't want a bunch of non-owner occupied units in the village. However, that does mean you can't rent it without a hassle from the association, but they still can't stop you from buying a place and selling it with owner financing. There's nothing they can do about that. So you always need to check the docs before you buy anything with association dues has association docs, and they need to be checked to make sure of what your restrictions are before you close on the property. And frankly, one of the first things I ask is, are there any restrictions on putting tenants in the property? I'm talking to the seller, they know, but I'd still check it.
That's right. All right, moving on to the next question, we have Steve, who is down with us in Florida. Steve says, NREIG has stopped writing insurance on mobile homes in Florida. What other insurance companies are available?
They have stopped writing insurance on pretty much any home in Florida. Okay, remember I live here, and honestly, I just had that problem because I just bought a property at the foreclosure auction, and she did not get them to insure it, and she had to shop around. But I can't tell you what company she called since I wasn't doing it. I don't really know. You have to do your own homework on it. Just start calling insurance companies.
Yep, Google's your best friend.
And if they don't write it, they might refer you to one that does.
All right. Moving on down the line, our next 2 questions are from Joel, and Joel does not give his state, but his first question is, how do you assign or sell a house without the title?
Well, first you have to have a contract to buy it, and then you can assign that contract to somebody else for a fee, and then at closing the seller deeds it directly to your buyer, and they take your fee as a cost on the closing statement, and the closing agent collects your money and sends it to you. It doesn't cost the seller anything. It's the buyer that has to pay the price that's that much higher than what you're paying for the property. So if you're getting a $20,000 fee, the buyer will be paying $20,000 more than you. $20,000 will show as an option fee or a consulting fee. Seller will get what they were promised. All you need is a contract and an assignment. That's it.
That's all you need, Joel. All right.
Now, Joel, I don't know what state you're in, but make sure that you can assign contracts in your state. Like Illinois, you cannot, and Oklahoma, you cannot. And I've been told there's 5 states that you can't assign contracts in. And now I think Nebraska is one of them, but I'm not sure of the other 2, unless you have a real estate license. Okay, but that doesn't stop you from buying it, raising private money and closing on it, and then selling it quickly thereafter. And doesn't stop you from using transactional funds as well that are used to close on it and then sell it, and then the funds go back to the company to put up your transactional funds.
All right. Joel's next question is, does the deposit that's applied to the principal raise the purchase price?
The deposit is applied to the down payment, but does not affect the purchase price. If I'm selling a house for 300 grand and they give me 30 down, they only owe me 270.
Yep.
So that 30 goes in my pocket. I do whatever I want to do with it. I do not have to bring it to closing like realtors do. It's not, in their case, it's not their money. In my case, it is my money. So either if they buy, they get a $30,000 credit off their down payment. And if they don't buy, they forfeit the 30,000 bucks.
Yeah, that's right. There you go, Joel. All right, down to our last question, Ron. This one is from House, and they don't give their state either. But House says, when you start investing in real estate, when do you need to apply for an LLC?
You don't need an LLC until you're about ready to close the purchase. However, you still have to put something at the top of the contract as the buyer. I would prefer you have an LLC to do that, but many people just put their name up there. Any contract that you use of mine is assignable, so you can assign it to whoever your buyer is if you're going to do that. So it don't make any difference who the buyer is at the top. But it depends on how serious you are about getting started. If you're going to just go get an LLC and not do anything with it, it would be a waste of money. But if you intend to actually put it at top of contracts and or especially close, then you should have an entity. Now you're going to close in a land trust. All right. There's no forming a land trust. When your closing attorney gets the sellers to sign the warranty deed to trustee and that's recorded, you formed the trust. So there's nothing you do at the state level. So go home and fill out the declaration of trust agreement, both of which are on your Gold Club site, by the way, and stick it in your filing cabinet. So you can close in a trust and you can be the beneficial interest if you want to, at least to get you started. But the problem with that is that's going to be reported right on your personal tax returns. And I would prefer you operate through an LLC, which has its own tax return, and nothing that's going on within that LLC will be reflected in your personal tax return. You will have a K1, which shows the profit or loss from the previous year. You carry that into your personal tax returns, but nobody even knows you own real estate. So you don't have to be justifying why you own it or reporting and filling out schedule. Can't even remember what schedule it is anymore, where you have to report all your properties. Schedule E, I think. So by operating an LLC, it's going to be a lot easier for you, and of course, a little more safe, because if you're the beneficial interest of the trust and somebody were to actually get a judgment against you, they could take your beneficial interest of the trust. But if your LLC is the beneficial interest of the trust, they're not going to get to the LLC. They're only going to go after the owner of the property, and that would be the trust. And the only thing the trust owns is the one house. So the one house is the only thing at risk. Anyway, there is a lesson that I did on the Go Club, and I believe that Nick retitled it 4 LLCs to make it easy for you to find. Go look that up, because that is valuable information on how to structure your entities you will not get from anybody else, not even an attorney. So go look it up, and you'll begin the process of learning how to protect yourself against predators, as well as how to operate your entities, and a little in there on estate planning as well, which is really what all this is estate planning. So it's worth your time to go learn all you can on that. And of course, I teach it at the Quick Start School, and I even get deeper in business management on entity structuring, asset protection, estate planning, and tax reduction.
That's right.
Long answer, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's important information to know.
Yeah. You get me started, it's hard to stop. Okay. That's all the questions we have this week?
Yeah, that's all she wrote for this week.
All right, we'll get the questions in here, guys. Please don't forget to give me your, the state you live in, because it very well may have, it may change the answer that I give you. Different states have different rules. None of them will prevent us from buying houses, but some of them need your attention to make sure you do it right and don't have to get penalized for it in some way. All right, so I'll see you next week. Go out there and make some money, make some deals, and keep the momentum moving forward.